morning and welcome to the Staryu Solo Run on the RetroBrown channel. This is going to be an interesting one because Starmie performed ridiculously well. But then again, it does have that water psychic type, whereas Staryu does not. It is a pure water mono type. And considering it's the base stage evolution, it also has a low base stat total of 340. Still pretty good for like a base stage evolution Pokemon, but looking at the level up moveset and this being Gen 1, that might not be working in our favour. Arrows, you are going to be our rival for today. Hope you enjoy this video and we will see how you do against the Staryu. So, of course, we always pick up our potion, set our settings so that it's got the fastest text, no animation sometimes. Depends on the video whether I do that or not. And we'll go pick up our Staryu, the star-shaped Pokemon. That means the rival, of course, is going to get a Bulbasaur, giving us the hardest matchup. Because it doesn't actually matter for which of the three starters we start with. We're going to have super effective moves regardless. We're going to have psychic type moves and ice type moves for the grass type Pokemon. We're going to have electric type moves for the Squirtle. And we're going to have water type moves, of course, for the Charizard if we decide to go that route. But we're going to go with the Bulbasaur just because it's the only Pokemon that will have super effective moves against us. And you'll see that later on in the video. So Staryu, starting off with just tackle up until level 17 is kind of bad. That's a lot of training we're going to have to think about doing before we even get to Brock. And considering there's not much experience to gain apart from against wild Pokemon in the very early game, especially just before Brock where you've got maybe 5 fights, yeah, there's not much experience to gain. So what can we do? Well, first off, we need to go and start leveling up a bit, so we'll go against the trainers in Viridian Forest, and Tackle is doing extremely little damage. And we've been poisoned, so that was a loss, and wow, we got a loss incredibly quickly. So, this is going to be a bit of a grind, because we don't deal that much damage. We've got a base 45 attack stat, we've got a base 30 HP, which is honestly a lot worse than I ever remember Staryu being. Genuinely remember it having better HP stat, but either way, the special and the speed stat really do help us out with being 70 and 85 respectively. But it's going to take a bit of grinding in this early game just to get us to decent levels. And as much as I don't want to do it, we might have to be level 17 to beat Brock so we can get Water Gun. The Water Gun TM is locked just after Brock, so to be fair, that's the only way we can get it before Brock. We can even go against the rival to the west of Viridian, and at level 10, 11, it's still a tough fight for a Staryu who only has Tackle. In this early game before Brock, there are literally no TMs around. The first TM that you can get is Bide, and you get that after beating Brock. So there's not too much to work with unless you get your level up moveset. As you can see here against the Light Years trainer, the Diglett goes down pretty comfortably, but the Sandshrew, another story. It's a lot bulkier, and Tackle just doesn't do enough damage. So we go up to level 15 just to try against the Junior trainer, and it goes a bit better, but that Sandshrew also knows Sand Attack, which is just busted in Gen 1. Like, any evasion moves are just busted in Gen 1. Let's see how we do against Brock anyway. So, Brock is up, and a level 12 Geodude versus a level 15 Staryu. This ain't going our way. Look at how much damage we're outputting and how much he is hitting us with. We only have one move to deal with, and even if we get to the Onix, he's got the move Bide. And we didn't even get to halfway through the Geodude at level 15. So we had to go up to level 17, it was the only thing we could do, but because of that we've lost so much time. In fact, half of the amount of the time, the end time that you will see at the end of this video, was spent just getting up to level 17 against Brock, which is mind-blowing to think about really, considering how quick the rest of the run's going to be from here. There's a lot of good trainers in Mount Moon we can go against that have a lot of rock-type Pokemon, so we can get some easy experience there. Why am I leveling up so much in Mount Moon? Well, to be fair, with Misty coming up, she won't be hitting us with a water-type attack, but she's still pretty powerful with her Starmie. So we're going to be using Bide against her very, very shortly. Once we picked up the Helix fossil, we progress on to Misty. Misty, of course, starts off with her own Staryu, and with ours being 2 levels above, we're dealing out just that tiny bit more damage with Tackle. Because we're a water monotype, they are not going to use any other type of move against us apart from normal. They're not going to use Water Gun, not going to use Bubble Beam, and from here, Bide is just not enough here to deal with the Start Me. Reason why this is an issue, we are using Bide, and we went up to level 24 to get our HP up a bit more to actually make this work. Reason why Bide works better with high HP Pokemon, well, you can tank more hits, and from there we can actually get enough damage accumulated for Bide to work in this way. But at level 22 it just wasn't working. Let's go against the rival on Nugget Bridge now. Because we have leveled up so much just for Misty, we're just doing alright here against the rival. He's not a problem whatsoever, and even with Bulbasaur against us here, he only goes for Leech Seed. So we don't have to worry too much. Bubble Beam is still powerful enough to take it down. That brings us to the SSR, and of course, another rival fight. Yes, two on the bounce, we might as well do it. Straight away, Bubble Beam is nearly one-shotting that Pidgeotto. We go up to level 26, which is pretty high level for this point in the game. But we are a solo Pokemon, and we did do a hell of a lot of leveling up before Brock, so it's going to round out very pretty soon, really, against going into like maybe the 5th or 6th gym. You'll probably see that level round out a bit more. But that brings us to the next gym leader, which is going to be a tough one, and that is Lieutenant Surge, the electric type gym leader. Let's see how we do. He's got 3 Pokemon. The Voltorb does not know any electric type moves, but the Pikachu does. Thankfully, we outspeed and one-shot it, and we learn the move Recover. Now, we are going to get rid of Bide here, just because Recover is such a good move, and we're just going to go and try and stall it out, but Thundershock, we can tank. Thunderbolt, only just barely we can tank 1, and Recover does not get back enough HP. We get up a couple more levels to level 28, because of the traders in his gym. And thankfully he doesn't go for Thunderbolt on that turn, meaning we get the 3rd badge, and that didn't take all too many tries. What did take a lot of tries though was the Rappinlass. Yeah, the Rappinlass to the east of Cerulean City has got 4 grass type Pokemon. We've got no moves that are super effective, at least not until the next city. But Bubble Beam and Thunderbolt are 2 most powerful moves here. They just took ages to take them down. We do have Recover, which is a blessing, like an absolute blessing. But our moves just aren't doing much damage whatsoever. In fact, this Bellsprout set up so much with growth that Tackle started becoming our best move. But that was not the first try that you saw there. That was maybe 4 or 5 times to get that right. Because sometimes I would get paralyzed, sometimes I would get poisoned, and I would run out of Recover PP. So it did take a while. And again, this did not continue very good. There was another Oddish trainer in Rock Tunnel, and another one right at the end. This Staryu struggled a lot in Rock Tunnel. Just as soon as Grass type Pokemon come out, without having an Ice type move or a Psychic type move, we struggle so much. Which is good that thankfully we will be able to get moves like that before even going against Erica. The rival in Lavender Tower is a whitewash completely here. We've got Bubble Beam take out the Growlithe, Thunderbolt take out his first 2 Pokemon. The worst Pokemon is probably that Ivysaur, who can actually tank 1 hit. It tanks a few Bubble Beams, it does manage to Leech Seed us, but we're just too powerful at this point in the game for it. That means we can move on to Celadon City, and we can finally expand our move set, and with some very well needed moves. First, of course, we're going to go and pick up the HM for Fly, just so we can traverse the region a lot quicker. And after that, we will go and pick up Ice Beam, and after that, pick up Psychic from Mr. Psychic in Saffron. You need to pick up 2 fresh waters in Celadon Department Store. That way you can get into Saffron, and then progress down to get Psychic TM from Mr. Psychic. The fact that we can learn this trio of moves, Thunderbolt, Ice Beam and Psychic, that's all you need in Gen 1 sometimes, is just them 3 moves. If you've got them 3 moves, you are going to be a much better Pokemon than someone who can't. It's an incredible combo. And yeah, we've even kept Recover on this time. We are actually going to go mono-typeless here with our moveset. We are not going to get any stab bonus. I don't think mono-typeless is the right way to go about it. We're going to go stabless on this. We are not going to put a stab water move on our moveset. We're going to progress with Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, and Psychic. And Recover, of course. Let's see how it does against Erica. Now, Ice Beam does crazy damage on Victory Bell, but so does Razor Leaf. And my mistake right there, I should have gone for Recover, because Ice Beam is not a one-shot on Vileplume. So we try that again. We Ice Beam the Victory Bell, it goes for a Razor Leaf, and we only just tank it with 2 HP. But Tangela has barely any good moves. It does not have any Grass-type moves, so it's a free Pokemon to get your HP back up on. We even get a lucky freeze on the Vileplume, and that gets us an easy 4th badge on the 2nd try. Lavender Tower, not a problem whatsoever. Just sweep your way through with Ice Beams and Psychics. You're going to get up a few levels just from the mandatory trainers here, and we're going out of Lavender Tower level 36. With this moveset and that level, I honestly think it's worth us giving Silphco a try now. So we're going to go straight to Rival 5 and see how we do here. There's only one mandatory fight we've gone against to get to this point since Lavender Tower, so we'll see how we do. Because we've got Recover on our moveset, we can actually have some longevity in a battle. We can use the Growlithe as a good Pokemon to recover against, because frankly all it did in this fight was roar at us, which is ineffective. We're not going to teach ourselves Minimise, because that would go against the rule set that I have with evasion moves in Gen 1. And then the Alakazam comes out and we realise we've got a huge problem against it. We are now focusing ourselves into being a special attacker against the most powerful special attacker in the game. Aside from legendaries, I mean. That Alakazam is a nightmare to deal with, and frankly, easiest way we're going to deal with it, we need to get a lucky freeze. Or we need to hope that all he does is mess up on his AI, and hopefully we get that freeze. But this time around, all he does is go for confusions, bringing us into the Venusaur. Vine Whip is doing tons of damage, so I go for the Ice Beam. Razor Leaf still took us out. So even if we get past that Alakazam, who is a very hard fight, we're going to need to deal with that Venusaur, who is now starting to get more powerful and powerful moves. We know that the majority of this fight is pretty easy. For once, the Growlithe did something other than roar at us, and we had to recover all the way back up. This brings out the Alakazam again, and can we get the freeze? It's gone for confusion. He goes for potion, disable. He's disabled recover, which is not a great scenario. We've got to go for it now. We Ice Beam, we get seeded, and that's a hard fought fight. And if the luck had just not gone our way, the RNG had not gone our way, we would not got past that. That was completely down to RNG. Giovanni afterwards, though, not a problem whatsoever. This guy is a whitewash for a Staryu. We've got Ice Beam to deal with his rock types. We've got Psychic to deal with his poison types. There's nothing on his team that can stand up to this Pokemon. And we don't even take a single point of damage there. Once we've dug out, you might notice that I'm going to miss something here. So we have just been Saffron, and now we're heading down the bike path to Fuchsia City. We're going to go against Koga next because we've got Psychic on our moveset. We should do pretty well here, but you never know. So, as we talk about this fight, I just want to direct you again to our base stat totals. In particular, our base stat defense. Being at level 55, the poison type Pokemon in this gym can actually hit kind of hard. Yeah, by using Sludge, the most powerful poison type move in this generation, we got completely decimated on that first attempt. We need to be hitting big Psychics, hitting them hard and fast, and thankfully we didn't get hit by Sludge this time round. Again, RNG saves our ass with Staryu. We have accumulated back so much time from doing this run. We spent, like I said earlier, half of the entire run just trying to level up against Brock. The moveset that we have here we have swept through this game so quickly. Like, if we'd started off with a water move, I would say Starmie and Staryu probably would be SS tier Pokemon. They'd be rivaling Mewtwo for time. Starmie is one of the best Pokemon that we've done a run with. It's got incredible time, incredible level. Can't remember off the top of my head, so I will find that as we're talking here. But while we're doing that, we are going to go against Blaine and see how we do there. So Blaine is not going to be a problem for us whatsoever. Because we're a water monotype, they're not going to use their fire type moves against us, they will use their normal type moves. And considering they don't have all too many normal type moves to deal with, yeah, we're going to pretty much get our stats lowered, which will induce the badge boost glitch. Not the worst thing ever. We do take a bit of taking down on the Rapidash, but after that comes the Arcanine, and he just doesn't do anything with it. He just uses Retroactive Super Potions, he uses Roars, and we get an easy win. Meaning we've got our next badge. After that, we're going to head off to Viridian City, and you might realise what I've just done. I've completely forgotten about Sabrina. So that's what we need to go and do next. We need to head over to Sabrina and get our 7th badge before getting the 8th. As we're talking there before the Sabrina fight, the Starmie run finished at 3 hours 20 minutes at level 51. That's an incredible level to finish at. The timing, not as good, but that level is incredible. I mean, that's the exact same level that Mewtwo finished the run on. But Mewtwo finished it an hour earlier. We are going to get a bit of experience here by going against the dojo trainers, just because I feel like we're going to need it for Sabrina. We really will need it for Sabrina, to be honest. We don't have anything super effective against psychic types. Let's see how we do. So Sabrina is going to send out her Kadabra, and we're taking a lot of damage. We're at a third of our HP already, which forces us into recovering. After that, we're going to Ice Beam that Mr. Mime down. It's probably the safest Pokemon to do any damage on. And after that, the Venomoth straight away paralyzes us. Because we're using Recover and not Rest, we can't get rid of that paralysis. So we're now hoping on a freeze on Alakazam, but it doesn't happen and we take a loss. It's not really too much else on our moveset that could actually work in this scenario. We're really not suited to take on psychic types as this Pokemon. What we can do though is get a lucky miss on Stun Spore, meaning we can outspeed this Alakazam and actually deal some damage to that Alakazam. We're level 48 right now though, but that's a very high level to be going against Sabrina. With 7th badge in tow, we can head on to Giovanni in Viridian City. And he is going to be the easiest fight this entire run. So much so that we'll probably be out of his fight before the music properly kicks in. Let's see how it goes. First up is Rhyhorn, and it's a straight one-shot with Ice Beam. 2 Ice Beam, 3 Ice Beams. Oh, Nidoqueen actually tanked it, and we got paralysed. Fair enough, fair enough. Okay. Nidoking goes down to a Psychic, and Rhydon goes down to an Ice Beam. Giovanni actually managed to do something there. It's not enough though. Not enough whatsoever. That brings us to the rival to the west of Viridian, and the final fight before the Elite Four. This is, well, the first attempt that I managed to do this on, and it's a very up and down roller coaster, this fight. We take out the majority of our Pokemon just standard as usual. We do take a bit of damage and recover up where needed. And Growlithe just does a lot of damage to itself with Recoil. We freeze the Alakazam straight away and we use Psychic to try and load its special. Finally defeating it with a Thunderbolt. That brings us into Venusaur, and Vine Whip is doing tons of damage. 2 Ice Beams after that, take it down. And we can progress on to the Pokemon League. Now, the Pokemon League is going to be an interesting one for us. We've got move matchups which work in our favour. We got Electric type moves for Lorelei. We got Psychic moves for Bruno. We got Psychic moves for Agatha. We got Ice type moves for Lance. So you'd think this is going to be an easy ride. Let's find out. First up is Lorelei Dugong, and Thunderbolt is doing about half damage, but we've also taken about a third in damage ourselves and then get confused by the Cloister. The Slowbro starts using Amnesia, which is just fantastic, isn't it? It's great when the Slowbro uses Amnesia. We do take it out with a critical hit, thank God for Gen 1 crit rates. And then we bring ourselves into the Jinx, who decides to just make this a back and forth with using Thrash. When it finally hits itself in confusion after God knows how many recovers, we've got an opening to use Thunderbolt. That brings us into the Lapras, and Thunderbolt with a crit does a lot of good damage. To take her down at level 53, we're on to Bruno. Bruno, of course, starts off with his Onyx. We're going to go for Ice Beam. After that, it's going to be a Psychic Whitewash complete over his entire team. The only one that really gives us a threat from here is going to be the Machamp, who actually manages to use Submission for once in his life. We finish on level 54 and progress on to Agatha. Agatha is easily the hardest member so far. We do have a super effective move in Psychic, but we're not dealing out all too much damage against the Ghost types. We're dealing about half damage to each Ghost type, and we need to keep our HP up because Nightshade will do damage directly the same number as the level of the Pokemon using it. So as you can see there, we got hit by a 60 power Nightshade because this Gengar's level 60, and we take our first loss of the Elite Four. Starting that again though, we just got to work our recovers a lot better. We get a little bit lucky this time, where Golbat switches in and uses Haze twice, so we can recover back up to full, use Thunderbolt and get some decent damage in, and then brings in the Gengar. Now we don't outspeed any of these Pokemon, which is a bit of a problem for us. We need to keep our HP high, and thankfully we're going to get rid of all of her super potions while she's doing all of this back and forth. Horn is out next and goes for Nightshade, meaning we forced him to recover, and then she switches into Arbok. Basically, the downfall of Agatha here was the fact that she was switching a Pokemon at the wrong times. It gives us openings, we can take down a Pokemon, and then she uses moves like Screech. That's not going to work when your last Pokemon is Gengar, and unless you get me to sleep, its only move is going to be Nightshade. So that is Agatha beaten, and next is the Flying type Master. Yes, I know I make that little pun every time, but pretty much all of his team are flying apart from the dragons. This is probably the only incarnation of his team where he has more dragons than flying types. Every other one he's got flying types, really. I mean, I'm not familiar on later generations, but Gen 1 and 2, he has more flying types than he does dragons. Anyway, we do lose the first time against him because we just can't stand up to the might of Hyper Beams. Aerodactyl just does tons of damage. Thankfully it went for Supersonic, but again we take another loss to Hyper Beam. We are not doing well against Lance. He's heard me taking the piss out of him and he is not happy. So we go up to level 58, and from here we can outspeed the first couple of Pokemon, but Ice Beam is still not a one-shot or guaranteed, it's a range. We take some damage from Dragon Rage, and thankfully from there we get a critical hit going into the Aerodactyl with full HP. We can tank a Hyper Beam, but we need to take it down as quick as possible. From there, Dragonite will most likely use Slam or Hyper Beam. We just need to take it down. It's going to go for Agility, and because it went for Agility, it gives an opening to get an Ice Beam in. And that brings us to the champion. Arrows, here we go. Final challenge. Staryu is out first, and it doesn't deal all too much damage to us. We're level 59 going into the Alakazam, and I thought we'd get walled here completely, but we don't really. Yes, we've taken a loss here, but other than that, we actually got some very, very good luck. We've got into this level 60 on the second attempt, and for some reason, this Alakazam just really likes the move Reflect. Even though he's gone for full restores, he's wasted them, he's gone for Recover. He just decides that, you know what, Recover is the only move that I want to use today. Like, you're watching this here, he goes for Recover every single time, even when his HP is quite high. We do get hit by a Psychic there, which is a very rare occurrence in this fight. But as soon as we go into the Rhydon, we can recover straight back up, even though Fury Attack is doing a lot of damage there. We got our defense lowered, but it's not enough. That actually helps us in this endeavor because it induces the badge boost glitch. We paralyze the Arcanine straight away, and then he goes for Lero, all things. That brings us to Venusaur for the first time, and he goes for a Solar Beam over Razor Leaf. If he'd gone for Razor Leaf there, we would have been destroyed in one shot. But no, he went for Solar Beam, giving us the opportunity to get 2 Ice Beams in. Staryu has become the Hall of Famer at level 61 at 3 hours 49 minutes. I really wonder how quick that would have been if we'd started with Water Gun, because that was a quick run. About 30 minutes slower than Starmie. But anyway, that's the run done with, and we need to see what we're going to get next on the wheel. First up is Victory Bell. There's not many choices left really, is there? We haven't done anything from this line for quite a while now. Second up is Magneton. Would be nice to close out this line because electric types aren't the greatest in Gen 1. And last up is Seal. Oh, Dewey his little baby's back, but no, I think we should go with Magneton, just get out of the way. If you got to this point in the video, guys, please smash that like and subscribe. I really appreciate it, and we're trying to get to 500 subs here at the point this video goes out. So yeah, do what you do, and we'll see you next week. Take care.